All right. Welcome to another episode of Investing with Quito. We've got a special guest here, and we're with my co-host, Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you?
I'm great today. I'm really excited for Jake to be on the show today. So welcome, Jake. I appreciate you having being here, man. It's really
Yeah,
cool.
for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Jake will be a really cool, I think, testimony keto for us because I know that we're for you personally, it's like it's been investing in real estate and that's how you've gotten your wealth. And for me, it's continuing to invest in real estate and also purchasing businesses that then acquire cash flow and wealth. And for Jake, it's his a similar story. You started in real estate and started in the sub-2 community and got kind of that, but then you've kind of transitioned from acquiring real estate and more of the mobile home parks to acquiring businesses and actually scaling them and taking them to somewhere that's a lot higher than where they were before from different methods and systems with your partner, Kyle, right? Kyle.
Yeah, yep,
And so I just love to hear your story, man. And thanks for coming on today. It's really a pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks, Jake. And again, I'm excited. I know we met like about 2 years ago. And just to see from where we first met to where you are now, it's just, incredible to see, where you've gone. So yeah, I'd like to get the audience to kind of hear the backstory of the beginning and to where you are now. So take it
yeah,
away,
for
Jake.
sure. So I started investing in real estate, about my first house, just as a primary, not really investing back in 2016. And then, 2018 hit, and I say we, I mean me, really just tried to start looking for another method to build wealth. And that was through real estate, cash flow in real estate, because interest rates and the cost of debt made sense. Um, so started buying single families here in Tacoma, Seattle, Washington. Acquired a handful of them, and then, like many people here, ran out of money, ran out of capital because the cost of entry is so high. So from 2020 to 2022, started looking for uh, properties outside of the greater Washington area. Started investing in Missouri, bought some single families there, some small multifamily, and then moved into mobile home parks and have a portfolio of 155 units or so, which is all for sale. Because back in 2022, when interest rates decided to go up, I had to pivot because I couldn't acquire real estate for that continued to cash flow because of the cost of debt. And started looking at businesses, bought a property management business, which I absolutely hated. It was the first one. Property management is the armpit or the butthole of real estate. Like, there's no winning with homeowners or tenants. So quickly realized that, made a ton of mistakes because it was my first one. Didn't really do any due diligence, and just it was reckless. But it got me in the game, and that's what most people kind of stop there and they don't ever take action. I think because it got me in the game, I fell forward and learned, and then have acquired half dozen cleaning companies and under contract for 3 right now, since. And I love it because the cash flows so much heavier, but it's not, of course, it's not passive.
So I'm
Mhm.
kind of curious because you made that transition. You were, you had had real estate, and then what was it that got you say, you know what, I'm gonna buy a property management company, right? And then from there, I like to hear that transition from, man, this kind of sucks. I'm gonna do and not transitioning to the cleaning business. So I kind of like to hear,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
how that worked.
So when the property management company kind of fell in my lap, somebody that was going through a really hard time reached out to me. He knew I had a decent portfolio in real estate, and I was always looking for property managers. And he came to me, and after I underwrote it, it was like, wow, this property management company with little to no changes makes profits more monthly than my entire portfolio. I was like, oh,
Wow.
wow, okay. So took it over from him, did the transition, and I just I couldn't stand the tenant complaints, the homeowner complaints, and it was way too many moving parts. People don't understand there's so many moving parts with property management and vendor coordination and notices and evictions, and it's just it wasn't the business for me because I wanted to. I also was still in the mindset of passivity. So I think that had something to do with it. But when I'm sending 20, 30, $40,000 of invoices or payments out for cleaning invoices for move out cleans and such for the property management company, I'm like, wow, it would be really nice just to like own that vendor and be able to profit off of that. And so I was kind of approached and made a deal to take myself out of the day-to-day of the property management company by giving up ownership, you know, a certain percentage of ownership. So I did that and went all in on cleaning because we purchased one and then realized, wow, this is much more passive, right? And then added, you know, many to the portfolio since.
I know you know Logan Manzanares, right? That's kind of I've seen you in his group as well, and like kind of got some of his training, so that really helped. Like he seems to have a system down for like you want to own a cleaning business, this is how you run it super well, and that's been much more passive.
Logan's a super great guy, super smart, and what he's did with this community has been super cool. We don't run our business nearly nothing like he does. He has a very specific model that works for a very specific type of company. We are kind of dialed in on the next level, and yes, but great guy for sure.
So I'm kind of curious with the cleaning business. So you're doing property management, you know, it's like, wow, man, I'm sitting out $30,000-$40,000, you know, I'm getting invoices from these cleaning company. So at what point it kind of clicked like, maybe I should look into owning this, you know, owning a cleaning company.
Yeah, well, the first month, honestly, I decided to start a cleaning company and started one from the ground zero, found somebody, you know, girl that had many years of experience, bunch is super good. And then just kind of realized the struggles that come with starting a business from the scratch. Even though I had direct revenue to give the business, it was starting a business. There's a reason why 95% of businesses fail in the first few years, right? And I said, heck with this. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to go buy one and use those cleaners for us.
Okay, so like you kind of take that model of, I think it's called like a bolt-on, that people say is like you have a business already or you have one and then you go and acquire another one that's not doing as well or that is doing okay, multiply it to yours, and then through your system you expand and scale it.
Exactly, because we already have direct revenue to add to the company. So we bolted on the cleaning company, but then I removed myself from property management, and the foundation company now was the cleaning company.
So what is it? I mean, I'm not too familiar with the cleaning industry, but what is it that makes it profitable? Are you setting up the appointments, getting somebody else to do the cleaning? I mean, how are you able to, you know, really make this work for you and scale up?
Yes, so we have 20 to 23 employees at any time, all W-2, and then about 10 contractors. And to make it super simple, you bill out for $50 to $150 an hour, and you pay somebody $20 to $25 an hour, like just business 101, right?
Right.
So, you know, we have a lot of reoccurring clients for house cleaning, housekeeping, maid type service. And then we have a lot of recurring clients for exterior, for windows, gutters, roofs, pressure washing, etc. So everything from residential to commercial, we kind of do it all.
Right. And so these, you know, when you're acquiring company, what are you looking? What are you looking at? Like, I mean, and where do you see like how do you know like, man, you know what, I can really make this grow, like this company, they're doing okay, but here's what I see we can improve on. Here's what we can do to, you know, really add more revenue to the business.
Yeah, I think it really starts with trying to figure out, you know, what is your goal here? Like, is this, and it starts with self-reflection to figure out where you're at. Are you at a place where you're looking to get out of a W-2 job? Are you a place where you're looking for a passive type investment? because I think that the type of companies you're going to go after are a lot different, right? A company that I might buy is not going to be meant for somebody else, and vice versa. So, but if you have that all figured out, you want to buy. I mean, at the end of the day, I've never bought anything that's for sale except for right now. I'm under contract with something in Palm Springs and Spokane. Until then, I've only bought off-market companies through direct to seller marketing, and we like to buy at a 1 to 3x multiple of their profits per year. So if they're making $100,000, we're gonna buy it for in between $100,000 and $300,000. If it's on the $100,000 side, that's what we're buying it for, a 1x. It's because the owner is so heavily involved day to day. They might even be doing some of the labor, definitely doing scheduling, taking calls, payroll, etc. On the $300,000 side or the 3x side, we're looking at stuff that the owner is not absentee, but is on the spectrum of passivity, is much more passive than active, because that deserves a higher purchase price, a higher value. And that is not something I made up. That is something that's just the industry standard, and SBA looks at that as well. But 1 to 3 is generally where small businesses will sell for, until you get up to about $1 million in profit. And in certain industries, you can get a higher multiple.
So when you look at those kind of things, it's kind of like real estate investing, where if you're taking a home and it's undervalued and it's like, hey, I can add this, I can add new flooring, I can add new carpet, I can put these new lights in. So like when you're kind of evaluating business, you're like, what are things you look for that are the value adds for a business, especially if it's like, if it's worth 2x of what the multiple is, like you obviously want to take it to be more passive and to be more and increase the revenue. So what kind of things do you look for that would be like the value add opportunities?
Yeah. And I don't want to mislead anybody, because there are a lot of businesses out there that are for sale and that are not for sale, that you just need to buy them and not change a dang thing, and they're going to cash flow like crazy, right? I don't do turnarounds or flips of businesses or anything like that. So everything that we've purchased has been pretty stable. But what I like to see as far as value add is, are they optimized? Do they have a website? Are they optimized, SEO optimized? Are they running ads? Are they doing any type of marketing? I like the companies that are not optimized, that don't have a big marketing budget, that have non-revenue generating employees, that aren't that are or are not remote. Because I know that with my history in real estate and property management, that I can train. Like I have two girls run our cleaning company from start to finish, besides a few different aspects. Kyle handles marketing and I handle hiring and kind of employee relations and management. Everything else is pretty smooth. So if I can take like this company that we're buying in Palm Springs, they have an $80,000 general manager. And by no means am I planning on getting rid of that person. However, I look at that as an opportunity, because all this general manager is doing is running office. She's running the office, an office that doesn't even need to exist, right? Because our cleaners up here in Washington, when they run low on supplies, we have a form they fill out online, and then that form gets submitted. Our VAs go on Amazon, order all their supplies, and deliver them to their house in 2 days. Down there, they're going and picking up supplies multiple times a week. And it's just like so many little inefficiencies like that in the systems and processes. That's what we look for. But it doesn't necessarily have to have that for me to be interested.
Gotcha. So it really does depend on goals. Like if myself, if I'm still working full time, if I wanted to go and buy a business, I really have to, and wanted to keep working a current job, I really have to look at more passivity, a lot more systems.
Yeah.
A lot more turnkey, right? But then someone says like, oh, I'm really sick of my W-2. I really want to stop working here. I'm going to go buy a business, and then basically make themselves a job, but then they can work themselves out of that, right? It really just depends on your goals.
They can either work themselves out of that, or they can work in that and make 500,000 or 600,000. Because that's what buying a job gets a bad rep, because who would want to buy a job? But at the same time, if you can buy a job that pays you $500,000 a year, who would not want to do that?
Yeah.
That you own the company, right? So I think that just kind of gets a bad rep altogether.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like it's like a paradigm shift, right? You got to shift how, how you view it. It's like, if you're working a 9 to 5 for a job that you don't like, well, might as well the job that you're gonna like, it's gonna pay you more, right? So just making that mind shift, because you're right, it does get a bad rap. Like, well, why would I want to buy myself a job if, because a lot of people hate their jobs, right? So
Yeah, exactly. And but people would love their jobs a lot more if they worked for the company or they own the company they work for, right?
mhm.
And I think with this whole passive versus active stuff, I think Robert Kiyosaki poisoned our minds and gave us the idea that passive investing is a thing, especially in real estate, because real estate investing is not passive. Anybody that has a large portfolio will tell you that. But it's not meant to be passive. You're not meant to make money off of cash flow. Your cash flow is meant so you can keep the asset, so your loan can get paid down and so it can appreciate, so you have generational wealth to hand over. Yes, our debt has been so cheap at points that we can cash flow off of it, but also that one big break, one big flood, one big something can knock out cash flow for 1 to 2 years. So I think that the real estate investors, they have to get out of the past wanting to be passive. You can't buy a business, put an operator in, and hope it goes well. That's a pipe dream that Cody Sanchez and everybody online likes to sell you, because it sounds good and it sounds easy. However, nobody's going to care for your business like you do. I do think you can scale yourself out of a business over time, but it takes a lot of time, processes, and such.
Right. And that's the thing, like, when people talk about, passive income in real estate, I mean, there's a certain aspect that's passive, but you do have to be involved. It's not like set it and forget it. And that's the pipe dream that people are so like, oh, passive income, you just don't do anything. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, stocks to be passive, you just put your money in there, but you don't know it's gonna, it just
Yeah.
fluctuates.
You have
Right.
no control.
Yeah, you have no control, but something like real estate or business, it's passive to a point where, you can grow and it can bring you money, and there's less time that you would have to put into it, right? Because I know in the
Yep.
beginning when I was putting up, I put in a lot of time, right? Now I put in some time, but it's not quite as much as it was before, but I'm still, involved.
Sure.
Yeah. So I know, Jake, we talked about before that since we're in sub two, everything's about like creative financing, which is a great option. Like that's how we got our two businesses, is through creative financing, because one, SBAs wouldn't touch it. Like they wouldn't touch the business if there's no assets, so they wouldn't buy it. But we thought it was good for our buy box. But then also you talk about a lot of, especially the higher businesses with like a lot more structure, a lot more revenue. Like an SBA is a really good way to go do that. So would you talk about the benefits of creative business buying versus SBA, and how do you go about that?
Yeah. So everything I've closed on to this point has been some type of creative financing. However, the ones that were under contract right now, they're all I'm going through the SBA process with 3 different companies right now. So I'm starting to kind of really see what I've learned through just research and such. I'm starting to see that play out. And I think that SBA is a great product for businesses that are well established, like you said, higher purchase price businesses, because you can buy $1 million company for 10% down that profits in between $250,000 to $400,000 a year, right? And you only need $100,000 to get into it. Talk about a 200 to 400% cash on cash return. Insane.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's insane.
Now the caveat with that is like less than 2% of businesses that exist would it qualify for an SBA loan if you were to send your books in right now, right? So the thing is, if they haven't been preparing to sell and doing their books correctly, chances are they're not going to qualify for SBA. I've seen some exceptions, just really well ran businesses. So a lot of the stuff you're going to have to go the creative method. And if it's listed by a broker, the broker it should one or two buckets or one or two things should happen. One, they should be SBA pre-approved, or two, the broker has educated the seller of the business on the fact that a seller financing deal is going to have to be in play here because SBA won't touch it. So they'll want cash or some type of seller financing deal. So it's not one of those things where you have to go to people and try to explain what seller financing is or sub two is. Like, I'd rather poke myself in the eyeball with a needle than try to explain what sub two is to a homeowner, right? It's an awful thing to try to explain, unless they're in a really bad circumstance. So business owners usually have some type of appetite for seller financing. Where it can get tricky is like, if you have a $500,000 business for sale that is making, say $150,000, $200,000, $250,000 a year. Well, if they want 50% down, that's going to take you a whole year, maybe a little bit more to get money back. So I think trying to find that sweet spot where you're not going to put zero down. So PACE can, stop misleading people with the zero down program, because you're not going to buy anything that is truly worth it if an owner would let you put zero down. So that's my one beef there. But 10 to 25% is usually a good entry price for an owner. And then with some type of accelerated payback. So if you can pay it back within 2 to 5 years, that's where we start to really see some good opportunities. Because I've offered SBA terms to the seller. So, hey, hold this note for 10 years. Instead of paying you $700,000, I'm going to pay you $1.1 million. So I'm going to overpay you for the company, but you got to hold the note for 10 years. That just doesn't work too well because they want to get paid back a little bit sooner, right? But it doesn't mean it has to be your money that you're putting down. I haven't put any of my own money down on any business that I bought. I've raised millions of dollars for real estate, and raising money for small business is the exact same thing for raising money for real estate, but it's better because you don't have to have an exit plan to pay the private lender back. You don't have to sell the business to pay them back or refinance the business to pay them back. You can just pay them back from the cash flow, and you can get it back to them within 1 to 2 years. And that in the big objection is like, okay, well, why would somebody lend you $200,000 on a business? What if you don't pay them back? Would they want to foreclose on the business? That sounds like a pretty awful idea. You can liquidate everything and not have anything to foreclose on, but you can cross collateralize a piece of real estate just like we do for flips and such. So I collateralize my personal real estate against private money loans that I get to buy businesses.
Okay, so use the actual asset as the collateral for the business. Doesn't have actual any assets, just blue sky or cash flow. Exactly. Yep. Wow, I didn't know you could do that. That's fascinating. Yeah, you can collateralize any physical asset.
Wow. Nice. Now, Jeremy, you had a tasting room that you'd like to, maybe have Jake take a look at. You want to?
Yeah, just an idea for you, Jake. So let's say I'm looking at a business and it's a service business for cleaning of types for ducts. Okay. I'm trying to be careful with an NDA that I got. So I'm trying to think of what to do, but the business cash flow is 6 figures. It's solely owner operated.
6 figures is so broad.
Low 6 figures.
Greater than 200?
No.
Okay. So in between 1 and 200.
Yeah. In between $1 and $200,000 a year. Fully owner operated, no employees. They don't advertise. They only work part-time, 2 to 3 days a week, and looking to sell it for 250 around that time, right? Around that price.
How much revenue are they doing?
180,000. Their margins are 80% that they keep. So really, really high margins. So they'll, they're pretty good on that, but they do no marketing. There's no employees. They do everything, and it's home based out of their stuff. And you could scale pretty quickly.
How do they find their business?
They bought it themselves from another guy 10 years ago.
Okay.
So it's established. It's been around for longer than 10 years. But they don't have a good website. They got little Google reviews. They do absolutely zero marketing, and they do mostly residential, but some commercial. So you're looking at a business like that, it looks like you buy yourself a job on that sense, but also you can work yourself out of that job pretty quickly if you just hire a tech, know how to do it, buy some more equipment, start the market, actually get more leads. Is that kind of like, I don't know how
How
to
much
ask
are
that
they
question.
asking for the business?
250.
So probably like a 2x multiple roughly.
Just about under 2x for the revenue plus all their equipment, which is used.
Yeah, so a business like that would take a very specific avatar of a buyer, right? Because when are you going to have time to hire a tech if you're working all the time, right? I know you said it's only part-time, but it's going to be hard to find somebody that wants full-time hours, right? Because not a lot of people want part-time jobs, and definitely no A players want part-time jobs. And then two, I don't know if you've seen a lot of the scams that have been going on with the duct cleanings. So there's like dozens and dozens of companies, duct cleaning companies that have been sold in the last year or two that have been total scams from like offshore. So it actually could be one of those because it sounds very familiar. They make it just enticing enough, and when you close, the guy just disappears. So it's very interesting, and if you do a little bit of research on it, you'll see it. I haven't seen this in any other industry at all, but duct cleaning that's why there's so many for sale right now on Biz by Sell and on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. But if you were to say it wasn't duct cleaning, say it was just a regular cleaning business, that would be something I would be interested because I have the foundation and I have the employees already. Because if we were to sell today, we would probably be able to sell for in between a 4 and 6x right now because of the profit we make per year. So if you were to put that into us and we buy it for a 1x or say a 2x like it is, it's a 2x right now, but when we move that revenue becomes a 5 or a 6x when we put it into our accounting because of our enterprise value, our equity value. So that's like creating money overnight when we close, right? Because you're buying it for this, it automatically becomes this because now it's Rainier.
Yeah, that's impressive. So it really would take if someone like me that has no system like that, like you guys, I'd have to build that. Like I really have to start from scratch, like you guys said, like buy the business, scale it, grow it, find the employees, do another add-on, and like actually try to work myself out of it, but I'd be working it for a little bit.
Yeah, it would be similar to starting a business from scratch with a head start, but you paid $250,000 to do it, right?
Right.
So I like to look for things that are 5 years or older, that preferably 10 years or older, that have been through some type of economic slowdown or recession. I like them to have 5 to 10 at minimum employees. So if we lose an employee or a key employee, that we're not going to be, up the creek without a paddle, right? Because I bought a window cleaning company that the key employee quit 3 weeks after we closed. And it was funny because he was a subcontractor for the previous guy, but he's been working with them for like 8 years, and it was a rock star. And I offered him he was making like $50,000-$60,000 a year. Offered him an $85,000 salary, a truck, a gas card, etc. He said no, thank you, and he quit. And I was just dumbfounded, like, why? Like, come on, dude, you had a kid on the way and everything, and it was just like it didn't make sense to me. Funny enough, what reason why I was on the phone earlier with the attorney, we're sending a cease and desist because he's going after our clients now. So there are headaches with this, right? There are headaches. It's not passive. But I like to look for the companies that have been around a little while, that have been through some stuff, because when I buy it, if something happens, I want to know that it can sustain for the next few months until we figure out how to pivot.
Right. So if you did have to start all over again from ground zero, knowing everything that you know, and you were looking to get in it for the first time again, what would be, and everyone's buy box is different, so it's just kind of your personal story, but like what would be, you say, like an ideal buy box for someone to start really well?
Yeah. Depending on their situation, assuming they had good credit, some type of capital, or access to capital, I would buy, because at around $1 million borrowing money from the SBA, up until that point, experience does not matter so much. It does matter. You have to be able to articulate why you're going to be successful in this business. However, after you get over that 1 million borrowing note, they like to see that you have some direct experience in that industry. So I would find something less than $1 million, something that you have some type of experience in, maybe not direct industry experience, but you have some type of leadership or management experience. And then I would go and purchase something that is cash flowing in between $250,000 and $350,000 a year, and you can get that at a 2 or 3x multiple. And chances are you're probably making 6 figures right now, around $100,000 salary. I feel like that's kind of the average salary on the West Coast. You could go and double your salary overnight and work for yourself and have complete control and get also the tax advantages from owning a business. So that's where I would probably, if I were to start all over, because we didn't choose the first company I bought after the property management company. They were only doing like 280,000 in revenue. But after you buy a half a dozen or so of those or more and continue to get bigger each and every time, now we rebranded. So we didn't keep the company's names. We did for a little while, but now we rebranded everything to Rainier. So everything is Rainier. It's one company. So it's like a holdco, the holdco method essentially, right? Or you can just go out and skip this and go and buy something bigger and make more money right away.
Gotcha. Okay. So
So
really
a
that
question.
niche of yeah, go ahead, Quito.
Oh no, I was gonna say, talking about like buying stuff, you mentioned about, having access to capital and borrowing, right? So if you are borrowing, say for like the down payment, whatever, to acquire a business, typically, what are you paying out to the investors, your private money lenders, for what are you paying for the money?
I pay in between 8 and 12%. With terms up to 24 months. I like to have that little bit extra time so I don't have to send every penny back that I make right away. So I have money to grow, right, for marketing and hiring. But you can do it a couple different ways. You can do it for a straight percentage, or if you really know the person, like and trust them, say, hey, let me borrow $100,000 to buy this business, and I will give you 10% on your money for 18 months. After you're completely paid back, you'll move into a 5% ownership. You'll get 5% of all profits we take from here on out. Now, I'm very against giving away equity, especially too soon, unless you have a really good relationship with somebody and you know that they're going to bring more value than just being a private lender. But if that's the only way you can make it happen, it's better off to do that than to not do it, right? Because you're not going to always need somebody else's money. Eventually, as your business grows and gets bigger, you're going to be able to open up lines of credits. SBA has expansion funding for 0 down. So we're getting around that mark where we can go to SBA and say, hey, this is going to be an expansion loan. They do 0% down for the same industry. And that's a cheat code right there. But you have to have 2 years in that industry to be able to qualify for those loans.
And then, so you're giving a percentage and you're offering an opportunity to, not equity, but perhaps profit share, right? A certain percentage of the profits, right?
Yeah, I've never had to offer anything besides just an interest rate return. But I have proposed the idea or like thought of it, and if this doesn't work, but it seems to always work. People like to get 10-12%.
Gotcha. And then you're pretty much just paying that off the cash flow from the company. You're
100%,
paying them back.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Oh,
yeah,
that is a cheat code. Like, especially like if you're looking at a deal, Quito's rule is always 30% cash on cash return for a property, which is great. But if you're talking about like 200% cash on cash return, like on your first day, and that's the lowest you're going to get because you can scale it and grow it with the right experience. Like that's a pretty substantial
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, real estate and business, like real estate is great, but it can't touch business cash flow, right? But it wasn't meant to, right? It
Hmm.
never was meant to. It's meant to build wealth over 20, 30 years of time. If you can cash flow while you maintain and hold the asset, that's just cherry on top.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because I'm looking to acquire, well, a property. Plus, it's in real estate is a commercial property, and it has multiple businesses that could be run from the real estate, right?
Yeah,
So, I'm working trying to figure out, what I should be offering people in terms of, percentage for their money, because it is to me it's a big project, and I haven't done anything like that before. So,
yeah. No, it's funny. I've looked at so many businesses, and I've seen a couple where the owner owns the real estate and the business. The business is paying a certain amount to the 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 management company that's managing the real estate, but they're overpaying him, which increases his value of his real estate, and he borrows money then against that real estate because commercial properties are evaluated and appraised on NOI, right?
mhm.
We all know that. So if your NOI is a certain point, you can get an appraisal and you can get a line of credit against that real estate to use that money to go and do whatever you want with. So there's many ways to play the game. I think people just have to get started.
Mhm.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
agree. I
That's like
agree.
the biggest thing with sub two. I mean, I feel like there's 10% of the people in sub two are doing all the deals, and then everybody else they're spinning their wheels for one reason or another. And it's unfortunate because if people would just concentrate on one thing, it doesn't matter what. I don't like cleaning. I can't stand cleaning, but it's what I decided to focus on. And then once you become focused on any area, you can be successful in it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Right.
Totally
Yeah, for
agree.
sure. And that's the thing, like you mentioned, really about just getting started, like whatever it is, for those who are listening, like whatever you want to do, like just get started. Like it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be perfect. Like your first, management company. I mean, it was horrible, but you've learned so much,
yeah,
right? You learned
exactly.
so much. And then look at you now, you're acquiring multiple cleaning businesses, and you're, really scaling it and taking it to the next level. But you wouldn't have gotten there had you not got started, right?
Yep, yep, exactly.
Yeah. So Jake, when looking at like buy box, that was really helpful actually, by the way, like the what to look for, the term, the employees, the amounts. It's like you're under certain amounts, you don't have to deal with the SBA, you can just deal with the owner. And even going direct to seller, that's been really helpful. We did do a broker the first time we did it, and it was much more of a process and hassle than just going direct to a seller. Way better. But when you're looking at like industries, I know you talked about the service industry is a big one, and you talked about the difference between residential and commercial. Is there other industries you look at? I know SaaS is really big right now. People like looking at SaaS companies, Amazon FBA companies. You look online or much more physical?
Yeah, I think there are people that not just the people you see flex online, but I feel like there are some people on that you can be successful with, like the Amazon stores and all that. But you can also get shut down so easily, right? So it's high risk, high reward. SaaS, I think with AI and the way technology is going, the SaaS companies today are not going to be around in 2 or 3 years from now. So that's another reason why I don't really like anything tech based. Um,
Hmm.
I like things that are going to be resistant to recession, right? So businesses have to have their facilities maintained, right? Our clientele are not clientele that are going to suffer from a recession, like from a financial standpoint. Our homeowners that we come and service and clean and power wash and stuff. It's not people that are going to suffer from that because they live in good neighborhoods, and even if they do suffer a little bit, they're not going to take themselves out of what they're doing to clean their house. Like they're just not going to do it. So I so when the recession hit and all of the or the COVID hit and all the buildings went vacant in Seattle, one, it's nice when you have a airtight contract with somebody that says like that you're reliable for payments for service provided, you not allowing me into your buildings to provide services. Okay, well, let's say that we lose 30% of revenue because those contracts are no longer good. Now we can pivot. We have staff and we can turn on the marketing in certain zip codes and go more residential. We can pivot depending on the recession that is in front of us. And I really like that. And service businesses that serve real estate are going to be resistant to recessions highly like real estate is, right? Besides a few times in my lifetime, real estate has taken a big hit, really just one time. And since I've been around. So, but even then, like the services that service the real estate, they're still getting hired because people can't just go out and do this stuff. They don't have the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So I like service-based businesses where you can charge anywhere from $60 to $150, $200 an hour for a skilled job.
That makes sense. So like plumbing,
Yeah.
cleaning.
Yeah, plumbing, electrical, anything that is highly skilled. It's there. Cleaning is not highly skilled on the housekeeping side, but on the exterior side, windows, gutters, roofs, power washing, that is more highly skilled.
Mm-hmm.
We have to pay a little bit more for those people too, $25, $30 an hour. But coming out of high school making $28 an hour, I wish I could have done that.
Right. Yeah.
Same.
Right.
So awesome. Yeah, I really like the service base, like you mentioned. I mean, it is, because people need services. I mean, like you say, especially skill service, right? I mean, there's a shortage of electricians or plumbers, right? Or even having someone to do pressure washing. It takes a certain skill. You're just not spraying. Otherwise, you can, like ruin your material because you have a pressure too high or whatever, or don't get it clean because you don't have the right chemical. I mean, there's a lot of skill
100%.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah, there's skill and knowledge. And the thing is with plumbers and electricians and any crafts tradesmen, you're in the next 5 years, you're going to see those ones making, just starting out, $150,000 to $200,000 a year, because there's such a shortage of it right now. And if you look at enrollment in those schools, the number of schools, that's going to be such a highly sought after area.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the reason why I like service is because I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. And the thing is, I have experience with service because I've used services. I understand how ordering a service. I don't understand manufacturing. I don't understand big logistical routes. Like there's things I understand, there's things I don't. And I think everybody understands the concept of a service. You call somebody, you sign up for something, they come to your house, you pay them, and they leave. Like, don't make it more complicated than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, as we wrap up here, this one last question. In your first podcast that I listened to, it's a great podcast. Everyone should go and look it up. Like, it's Entrepreneur Fellowship. They have a lot of good content on there. Look at their Facebook page. I think it's really, really helpful stuff in there. And the first episode you had is that in the next 5 to 10 years, this will be the new hack, right? That was kind of your idea. And I don't know when that was recorded, but is that still the new hack? Like, next 5 to 10 years, this is
small business is the last untapped asset class. For every 1,000 real estate investors, for people that are looking actively for real estate investing, there is one person looking to buy a small business. So it is way undersaturated, and that provides us more opportunity right now, but it's not going to be like that forever. As you've seen the shift to Cody Sanchez, and obviously Pace sees the value in this, he's shifted a whole section of the sub 2 about it. And I think that's going to continue to grow. And it's exciting, right, for right now. But if people wait 5 years, like people wait years to get into real estate investing, they're going now, instead of those 1 to 3 multiples, those multiples are going to be 2 to 4 or 3 to 6. And you're going to be paying more for compressed cash flow. And that's not going to be, and you're going to have more competition overall. And so I think that people, if you don't like your job, or you're not succeeding in real estate investing for whatever reason, because nobody is right now. Like, if we're being honest, like nobody's making major moves over and over again, like everybody was in 2018 to 21. I would highly suggest either looking to replace your W-2 income by being an owner operator, or going a little bit bigger and buying something that will allow you a little bit more passivity to invest your money. And another thing I also hear is like, what industry should I get started in? Choose something that you don't hate and that there is a lot of competition, because if there's a lot of competition, there's a lot of opportunity to buy businesses, right? You want to go into the oversaturated, because the bar is so low on some, they won't even answer their phone.
Mm-hmm.
And it costs me,
Right.
it doesn't cost me a lot to get 12-hour coverage to answer my phone during the day. So I know the phone always gets answered. So the bar is set low, and there's a lot of competition that you can go out and buy, because you want to buy one, and you want that to be the foundation, because that's when you can go turn your 1 to 3x into a 3 to 6x overnight by buying. And it's a lot easier to buy $250,000 of revenue than it is to go market and hire and fire and train and hire to get to $250,000 more revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank
So-
you, Jake. That was great. Really got me thinking, and yeah, definitely, like you were saying, that the competition is not there. You have more competition in real estate investing than you do people out there buying businesses. And if you're starting now, I mean, you can be ahead, because 5 years from now, it's going to start to get oversaturated. So
100%. And you'll see with business owners, like with real estate, like you're worried about sending your deal to somebody before you have it under contract, just for a second set of eyes, because things are getting snatched up from people left and right. I feel like with businesses, like, hey, can you take a look at this? Like, it's not like, I'm not going to want to buy something the two of you are going to want to buy. And the thing is, like, if I do, that means I'm going to have to uproot my life for the next 2 months and move over there and transition it once I close. Like, there's just not that like scarcity around what's available. There's so much on the table right now. We're sending deals out left and right, and I don't want a fee. I just want you to go buy it and be successful and be able to feed your family and be happy and put food on the table for other people, right? And I think we need to get out of the mindset of things being, life is abundant, and we just need to start acting like it.
right, for sure. Well, Jake, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, and congratulations. I know you're getting married in the next 45 days, so congratulations on
Bless
that.
her heart.
Yes.
She has to put up with all of this all the time. I just told her about the Palm Springs one, and oh man, she doesn't want me.
She's like,
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again. And if people wanted to find out more about you, is there a link or a Facebook, or what are you on that people could reach out to you?
Yeah, so it's just Jake Furfaro, JKEFURFARO, on pretty much all social media. We have a really cool group that we're growing, a community of people that are interested in our buying businesses. It's the Entrepreneur Fellowship on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, and then on every podcast platform. And then if you're just interested in learning more, have questions, shoot me a text. It's 253-709-3515. And I might be a little bit late in replying, but you will get a reply.
Okay. Well, thank you
Fantastic.
so much. We'll definitely post a link to your YouTube channel as well. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
You bet.
See you, man. Thanks.
See ya.